What's up, guys? I'm Karma. I'm here for Jackalmen Games with my good buddy Fortune.
What's up, guys?
And we're going to be doing a review today for the other starter deck that's going to be released, which is going to be the villain one featuring General Grievous. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm excited. Fortune actually did a lot of the talking in the review questionnaire for the first one with Obi-Wan starters, so I'm going to do the stuff for the villain one. So I'm pretty excited about doing this. As a start off, what are you thinking about this deck so far?
So I'm pretty interested in it. The fact that we actually have a General Grievous that's kind of playable is happy.
Yes,
because he's our third one, and the other two have both been absolute garbage. The second one was neat, like had a really cool ability, but
hard to pull off.
Yeah,
very hard to pull off.
So we'll see how this one fares. I do want to mention real quick before we get started, I'm not 100% certain as to whether or not you get two of the Commando Droids in the actual deck, but we will be playing both of these decks after this video, where we'll have them set up as if you had bought two decks. So Obi-Wan and Satine will be elite over on my end, and we'll have an elite Grievous with two Commando Droids on Karmas. So that's kind of how we're reviewing them here.
Yes. So we'll start off talking about the battlefield, the lair of General Grievous on Vasic 3. The claim ability is deal 1 indirect damage to an opponent unless they give you one of the resources or spot General Grievous to deal 1 damage to a character. I think it's a decent thing. Being able to steal an opponent's money is not terrible, especially like maybe towards the end where they might get some extra ramp or something like that put in. But being able to spot General Grievous is nice just to deal an extra damage to them if you're getting that claim. So if they're not playing Grievous, you have an extra ability that does no good to them if they don't have it and they claim on it.
So here's my thing about it. I think that General Grievous is going to be played in 3 to 4 wide character decks because of his ability. So he's obviously not going to be claiming unless you're also fighting a vehicle deck or somebody who's going super slow.
That's very true.
So you're probably not really ever going to get the spot Grievous ability off.
Yeah.
And giving your opponent a free indirect is pretty bad as well. So I don't think that this will honestly ever see play with the character that it's attached to.
But if you chose to play it, it wouldn't be too bad, just because if you are playing 3 to 4 character wide, the 1 indirect won't be too crazy.
That's very true. I mean, 1 indirect can stack up, but generally you only get, 3 to 4 rounds anyway, so...
Yeah, you'd end up using the other battlefield that lets you deal damage, like, indirect to them based on how many characters you have dead.
Yeah, the Arena of Death,
yeah.
Which has a spot gloss now, by the way, which looks ridiculous.
I know, I'm excited. Ready for adventures to Galactic Qualifiers.
There we go. Can't wait till May. Alright,
so the main star of this, of course, is going to be General Grievous, Droid Army Commander. It's very interesting. He's very low, but I mean, I like it because you get that ability to play more droids with him just for his ability and his power action. He's very low health, but being able to have an additional 2 to 3 characters with him makes it not so terrible because you have a lot of ways to spread out damage. And you have things like bubble shields and stuff like that to still protect you because he is red and you have that access. His die sides aren't terrible. He doesn't deal, I don't think, a ton of damage, but that ability to just re-roll your dice, I think, is really good if you're playing him right.
Yeah, so the power action to re-roll any number of your droid dice is going to come in big. Like we were just saying, he's going to be played in big wide decks. Most of those characters in those decks are going to be droids. So just having a free re-roll at any time to get those droids off of their blank sides that they love so much is going to be good.
Yeah, and he has that similar ability as far as Commander Cody, where... the other characters have that decrease in point. So, like, the clone troopers had a decrease in point. This has the decrease in point in droids.
Honestly, I think that this General Grievous is good enough that if you're running a droid character deck, you're going to be running Grievous.
Yeah.
I think that from pretty much now on, if you see somebody running a droid deck, unless they're just wanting to run Battle Droid Swarm, it's going to be Grievous plus 2 to 3 other droids. Yeah,
because, I mean, you have the new droids, you have regular Battle Droids, you have... the super battle droids. I mean, you have so many options. It's kind of crazy, but it's kind of nice to have the options, not just here's Grievous, here's these 2 droids.
All right.
So the next one is the Commando Droid, which is the new one that they've made. As far as the droids we've been speaking about, with the ones that come in the starter set. 7 health, 8 point cost, pretty average for a non-elite, non-unique character. 4 damage sides is really good. I think that's pretty great. And after you activate this character, you may activate one of your droid characters or supports. So it's similar to how the battle droids work as far as having that option to activate.
But better, because you just do it.
You just do it. It doesn't have to be when you roll indirect. But I mean, he has literally, honestly, really only 2 sides that are ones you may not necessarily want having that. The modifier is not bad, but it's not the most ideal side. But I mean, he just had. I think they have really good damage sides and just die sides in general. Honestly.
Yeah, it's really nice. 7 health for 8 points is a little bit on the low side, but it is a non-unique character, so that's going to be average.
Yeah. Skirt.
So I think that it's going to see a lot of play, especially with General Grievous, like we were saying earlier. With if you're running droids, you're going to be running Grievous.
You run Commando Droids with super battle droids and just go crazy.
I would also like to say that FFG got lazy with the naming, because these are the Droid Commandos from the 2-player starter set.
Mm-hmm. But
so they just swapped the words and made it a character.
But more playable instead of being, here's a 4-cost support that nobody plays.
I mean, to be fair, in sealed, it's ridiculous.
In sealed, of course, yeah.
And those 2-player decks versus each other, if you dropped this down, it was GG.
Yeah, you gotta get the money to do it, though.
All right. So we got Grievous and we got the 2 Commandos.
Right. So the next card is actually going to be an upgrade, the modular frame. It has redeploy, which is something we talked about with the Obi-Wan starter. We don't see a lot of stuff with redeploy, so having that option for things is nice. And it's really good with this, especially if you're playing droids. The attached character has +1 health. Discard this upgrade from play if it is not on a droid or on General Grievous. But pretty much if you're running this card, you're running droids in your deck. Giving them that +1 health and that redeploy, so they kill one and moves to another droid. They got +1 health, and it just keeps going, which is pretty great.
Yeah, so with it being redeployed, it makes the card just ridiculous.
Yes.
It's going to be in every single droid deck.
Yes.
So I just want to point out that this one card, if you manage to get 2 of them down, because they're non-unique, you add 6 whole health to this deck that already has, what is that? That's
14 plus 9.
14 plus 9 is 23?
23? Yes.
Yeah, 23 plus 6, 29 health.
That's pretty gross.
Because of a redeploy 0-cost upgrade.
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
This is ridiculous. So, it's
got a built-in plastoid armor inside of it with redeploy.
Yeah, and it's going to see play in literally every droid deck, period. Because why not give your droids extra health? Generally, in wide decks like droids, you aren't loading them down with upgrades, so you're never not going to have a spot to move this around. Of course, your opponent does have the ability to shoot at the guys that don't have this on them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you wait a turn and they throw 4 damage down on somebody and then drop this down on them, they're probably going to keep shooting that guy. And it makes it just that much harder to kill a droid deck.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're playing an indirect deck, if they've already started their focus somewhere and then you drop that down, it's really hard to want to change your focus to somewhere else because of a card.
Right.
I mean, you're either going to deal with it now when it's down, or you're going to deal with it later.
Right.
All right, so the next card is a E5 Blaster Carbine. It's another upgrade. While this upgrade is on a droid, it has redeploy, which is, once again, super nice. It's very specific when it comes to this deck, but of course there are other droid cards that it would work on. It's got similar die sides as far as the Commando Droids have. It just has a few more modifiers, but it has 4 damage sides. So with the Commando Droids, it's just super gross.
Yep. I was just mentioning earlier about how you don't usually see upgrades down on droids because they die so quick. But the fact that this is a 2-cost upgrade with redeploy, it'll probably be another auto-include in droid decks. So I think what we're seeing, the theme of this deck so far is, if it's in this deck, you're going to be playing it in a droid deck.
Yeah, I mean, and even if it's kind of similar to the Heirloom, where Heirloom needs to be on a blue character to have redeploy, this needs to be on a droid to have redeploy. So even if you have another character that isn't a droid, as long as it was on a droid to start with, it can still redeploy over.
Right.
So you still have access to it and don't lose it. And it's 2 costs, which is really good. All right. The next one is one that's actually in both starter sets, which is the Punch Dagger. We spoke about it. It's low cost. We don't have a lot of low cost weapons that we see. So it's nice to start seeing things like these 1-cost ones. It may not have the best die sides, but it doesn't hurt to have just some extra dice in the pool, because it does have damage sides. It has that resource side. So it's not completely wasteful.
Yeah, getting another die in the pool that your opponent has to deal with their mitigation is always a good thing. And being able to play an upgrade with the mitigation turn 1 is great. Also, being able to override it turn 2 for something bigger like a 3-cost weapon is great. So
yeah,
I think it'll definitely see some play.
Oh yeah, I agree. Same with this one, the Grievous Striker, or Grievous Striker. Once again, redeploy, which is a super helpful thing. 3 damage sides. After you play this upgrade on General Grievous or Obi-Wan Kenobi, you may deal 1 damage to a character. So it fits with the starter deck theme as far as playing it on General Grievous. Same way with the other one in the other starter deck, playing it on Obi-Wan. You get to deal that extra damage to a character. And then, of course, it has the same option to redeploy over, like a lot of the other upgrades in this deck does. So pretty much just about anything you're putting down with these characters, you're going to basically have to deal with the whole game if you go for that character first.
Yeah, this deck has a lot of redeploy in it, which is definitely something that we need in the new meta, because our options were lacking beforehand, so I'm happy to see it.
Yeah, there was already not a lot of redeploying. We were losing a few of the things that are redeploy already.
Something that I have noticed is a lot of the redeploys are lower cost now, like 2 cost. So that's nice to see.
Yeah. Some of them do have their restrictions, but I can get having the restrictions on certain cards. You don't want stuff to be broken and overpowered, like a lot of the stuff in Block 1 could be. Right. A lot of things had ambush and other stuff that made them super broken and a pain in the butt to deal with a lot of times. Alright, so this is going to be one of the new type of cards that we're going to be seeing with Convergence, a downgrade. The Shock Collar. After attached character is activated, deal 1 damage to it. So it has similar effects as far as the battlefield in this deck has, the Grievance weapon has, where you can just deal damage without actually attacking with a die or anything like that. You're just hitting them with some kind of damage. I don't know how much play it might see outside of this. It might be a downgrade that's not too terrible, because you can just put it on one of your opponent's characters. Now they're taking damage. You put the wounded card on them, that's a -1 health. So immediately they're already taking 2 damage from a card. And it makes you think, especially if you get it late game, it may make them think twice about even wanting to activate that character if they can't get it off. So,
I don't dislike the card, but I dislike its cost. This might be Block 1 thinking, especially with the rotation coming out. This train of thought might be incorrect. But currently, 1 resource cost, in my mind, should equal up to 3 points of damage. So in order for this deck to even out, in my mind, it has to be on a character that's activated 6 times.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, constant damage is good, but I'd rather spend the 2 resources on something that can deal the damage quicker.
Yeah.
But that might just be me, and we'll see how wrong I am once rotation happens.
Well, that's why I think late game, just out of nowhere, either that character either dies when they activate or they don't activate. And
use it as an RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And it could keep you in the game if they can't activate.
Right.
If they activate, they're dead, and then they just took their own character off the board.
That's true. It does lose power against vehicle decks because they don't need to activate. It does lose power against shield decks because they'll just blink their shield off every turn.
That's very true.
But I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So we go into support, and we get a reprint in this deck. The
so
tech
happy
team,
to see this.
very excited. Tech team is getting a reprint. I was actually going to be pretty upset when we were losing it because we were losing a lot of our ways to get vehicles out cheaper. Because Weapons Factory was going away. We thought Tech Team was going away, so there wasn't a lot of ways to get your vehicles. There is one that is in Legacy. It lets you play a vehicle, but you have to put a damage on it, and you can decrease its cost by 1. I can't remember the name of the card right now. It's a Legacy card. It's not terrible, but there are a lot of cards that take effects from having damage counters on them. So being able to keep the Tech Team is really nice. So if you weren't a part of Block 1, so you're going to get to see some of the Block 1 stuff that all of us really appreciated having around, and we get to keep around for a while longer. So it's a nice card. I like it.
Yeah, I think you hit everything on the head. There's nothing bad about this card.
No.
As long as you get to use it twice, it's paid for itself. And in vehicle decks, you're generally going to be using it quite a lot, especially if you get a down turn 1. So
yeah, it'll give people more of an option to go back to more like wider vehicle decks more than just fat vehicle decks. And being able to tech team your tech team is just hilarious to me. I love tech teaming my tech team.
That's right.
Alright, so the next card is going to be a support droid, the Stab Droid.
I am so happy to see this. Like, y'all don't even understand. This thing right here, let me just zoom in so you can actually see my mouse. This thing right here, when I was little and episode 1 came out, I actually had a model of like this droid flying on this little
That's awesome.
podium. I don't know why young me loved
like
that
a flying
thing so
scooter.
much. It is. I don't know why young me loved it so much, but I loved this thing. So now we've got a card with it on there. So
yeah, I definitely feel things like that. This card existing has ambush, which is really cool. It costs 1, and I think things like Hellfire Tank may come back around. because it works with droids and such.
Yeah, so I think that we mentioned near the end of the Obi-Wan video that I think that Aphra is going to get ridiculous with the new set. This is going to be something else that gets ridiculous because you get to play this for free.
I mean, yeah, you do get to play it for free, and then imagine having double down with Aphra. Hey, I'm going to have 3 of some droids. Yeah. You're going to be really annoyed with me.
They don't do a lot of damage, but I've got an army.
Yeah, but I mean, this one, it has 3 damage sides, which is nice, and it has a 3 indirect for 1.
Yeah.
It's not terrible, but I wouldn't mind paying 1 for 3 indirect. Now, if it were 2, I'd be a little more like, I don't know if I'd want to do that. But for it to be 1 cost, that's not terrible.
That hits right on the head what I was saying earlier. If you pay a resource cost for damage, it needs to be 3 or more. And
yeah, I completely agree.
It has it. It has exactly what you need. You can get it down for free with Aphra, or you can just pay 1 for it and resolve its die and, just laugh at your opponent because you've got a freaking 3 damage side on a 1 cost support with ambush.
Yeah, you have ambush. I mean, imagine drawing into 2. You play 1, ambush, play the other one, ambush, roll 1 in.
Yeah. No problems whatsoever. So it's a good card. I like it.
Yeah. All right, so another support, press the advantage. Action, exhaust this support to reroll 1 of your dice. Then if you have more dice in your pool than an opponent has in their pool, you may reroll a die. So it's kind of similar to the one we saw with the Obi-Wan starter set, where you spot a leader to actually get that extra reroll. So it has a similar effect as far as being able to have that option to reroll one of yours or an opponent's die, where you have to have a stipulation to it. So it's not terrible. This one actually has that option to get a lot more dice out because it has the support droids and stuff going in it. And then when you build it, you're probably going to build it with more support droids, I imagine, in it.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's an alright card. With it being a support, it seems kind of meh when it comes to actual competitive play.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever actually see play, but it does what it's supposed to do well.
Yeah. It's one of those cards, a lot of the cards that are support reroll cards, help you reroll dice, don't see a ton of play.
Right. Because it's a resource cost to drop it and then an action to use it every turn, and it's just... It can save you sometimes, but...
It's like a desperate hour kind of card, but it's also, like we said, the stipulation is there. So you'd have to have more dice to even get that second effect.
Right.
So it's kind of like, as far as starter set use, you're probably going to use it if you're getting into the game, wanting to play the starter sets. Other than that, building outside of that, you probably won't see it very often.
Yep, I agree completely.
All right.
This thing is ridiculous.
The Defoliator tank. One, I love that name. It has got ridiculous sides on it as far as damage sides. It has 2, but then it has the special deal 3 damage to each character that is not a droid or General Grievous, and that is just busted.
Yeah, so if your opponent's running a 3-wide hero deck, guess what? Take 9 damage to the face. This card became 1 less cost Vader's Fist.
It just laughed in the face of Leia Bouche. That's what it did.
Yeah. Oh, you think your 2 damage is cute? Nah.
No, it just laughed in it. And the way you can easily just make the money to drop a 4, and then you have tech team. So you have 2 tech teams. I'm just going to play this thing for 2.
Yep.
And just laugh in your face.
Yep, and you only have to pay for 1 tech team if you've got the second one out, because you tech team the tech team out.
Yep.
And the next turn you drop this at the start of your turn and you just laugh.
And it's non-unique, so you can play 2.
Yep.
That is just like the Hellfire Droid tank. Or you're like, I'm just going to play 2 of these and ruin your day.
And it's a vehicle, so you can drop these and the Hellfire and deal more damage.
And you could put mods on this thing if you really wanted to. It'd be really annoying.
This is going to be strong.
Oh, this is going to be fun when I get to use this against you.
Oh, I hate you.
All right, so now we have the Assassin Droid.
AKA HK-47. I just want to point that out.
It's 3 costs. It's 3 damage sides. They're not the highest damage sides, but what else can you expect from a droid? It is a droid after all. After you roll this die into your pool, you may deal 1 damage to a character. So its damage sides are not the highest, but it does have that ability every time you activate to deal a damage to a character, which to me is pretty nice. That's free damage.
Shots fired at the droids.
I got better shots fired than they do.
So this, with the ability that this card has, for 3 costs, you basically get a 2 damage, a 2 damage, a 3 damage, and a disrupt.
So you're getting your value.
And a damage.
You're getting your value out of its cost.
Yeah, so...
Plus with Aphra, even better.
Because with Aphra, you get it down for 2.
Yeah.
You activate it, roll into the 2. Then you deal that 3 damage, basically total that round. And you've almost completely caught up with my bell curve for the amount of damage that you do.
Imagine it with Aphra, reprogram because it's a droid, and then tech team it. You just played it for free.
Play it for free. Have fun. Is Tech Team? Yeah,
it
Tech
is
Team's
support.
80
It's just a support. Yeah. So yeah, you just played it for free. Turn 1 if you wanted to, if you got the right cards in your hand.
Assassin's Droid is ridiculous. The supports on this deck are ridiculous. I quit.
This deck is definitely ridiculous. I am excited. All right, so we're going to a reprint card. Pretty excited about a reprint for this one. A lot of people just get so angry and salty with it. But Probe. Look at 2 random cards in an opponent's hand and discard each of those cards. That is an event.
I hate Probe so much and it shouldn't be in the game.
Probe either wrecks your opponent's day, or when they decide to play it, you're laughing in their face because the only thing in your hands is support and upgrades.
You know what I have to say about Probe?
No. I am excited about it. I definitely enjoy the art more. Somebody's going to play it against me, though, and I'm going to forget what it is. And I'm like, what card is that? Oh.
Well, now, what is that?
Yeah, because I have to get used to the reprint images.
Is that Poe?
That might be Poe.
In the screen? I think that kind of looks like Poe.
Looks like a very artsy, cartoony version. Like, super cartoony. But anyways. So we have a 0 cost event, fresh supplies, play only if you control the battlefield, gain 1 resource. I think it's similar to Crackdown, where you have to have damage on all the opponent's characters to gain a resource. That has a similar ability. Once again, it has a stipulation to it. You have to control the battlefield to gain that resource. Mm-hmm. So it's not terrible.
Most red decks are a little bit slower. Excuse me. Most red decks are a little bit on the slower side, though, so I don't see them having the battlefield all that often.
Yeah.
So it'll be a little bit restrictive, but like you said, I don't think it won't see any play. It'll just have to be in the right deck for it.
Like me playing Rex.
Yeah.
You can use Rex, spend the resource to take control of the battlefield, and then play that card and get your resource back.
True.
Especially if you're playing cards that involve you needing the battlefield. So it could be worth it to get control, to keep your opponent from control.
That's very true.
All right. So another new card, a Sinister Piece. Discard a card from your hand to remove a die showing a value of 2 or more. So 0 cost. So you're basically losing 2 cards to play. You play this one and then discard 1 to remove a die showing a value of 2 or more. It could be good against the right character. Vader would be a really tough one because you're sacrificing 2 cards in your hand just to make them sacrifice 1 potentially to roll it back out. But against a lot of other characters, it could be good. Like Obi-Wan and characters like that do have mostly 2 sides, or 2 costs or higher.
I honestly think this card is going to be in pretty much every villain red deck. Getting rid of a card from your hand is not a big problem.
Yeah.
And just being able to drop your opponent's biggest damage dice for, no big deal.
Especially something like the Defoliator tank.
It does kind of immediately drop you down to 3 cards because you're having to both play and discard a card.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I definitely see it having its place once rotation happens. Pre-rotation, it wouldn't get played at all.
No, definitely not. Once you hit rotation, especially when there's like a trilogy format going on and your options are limited, it's going to definitely be a card you'll see get play. And then when you get limitations like that, it gives you a bigger view on certain cards and gives them gameplay, which is nice.
That's very true.
All right, so we have another reprint. I was actually pretty excited about this and surprised at the same time that this was reprinted. The Best Defense.
That was me 100%.
Do one of your red characters 3 damage to remove up to 2 an opponent's dice.
This card is Vader's Bane.
Yeah, this card is, and it's very much a block 1 card. And I say that because there are certain cards in block 1 that were just very much aggressive, I would say is probably a good word. Because you take 3 damage to a character to remove 2 an opponent's dice. It has to be a red character, of course, but I mean, in a deck like one that's running a lot of droids, that's super easy. You're like, let me smack this droid for 3 damage. I'm going to get rid of 2 of your dice. It's pretty gross. Still gross.
You hit everything on the head. I really don't have anything else to say about it. It's an amazing card.
It is a very amazing card. Play. Oh, yeah. It usually always does, but in this droid stuff, it's going to see a lot, I think. All right, I love the name of this card. Roger. Spot a red character to turn up to 2 of your droid dice to the sides of your choice. I mean, in this deck, any droid deck, of course, that's the only time it's going to see play because that's what it's for. It's for the droids.
But it will be in every droid deck.
Oh, yeah, no, you would definitely wouldn't build a droid deck and not have this in it. So a lot of these cards, anybody that loves to play droids, we have a local guy that loves to play droids, so he's super excited about the Convergence stuff.
Shout out to Joshua, aka Jabba.
Yes, he is our droid fanatic, so he is very excited. So
droid fanatics.
Yes, and our local store fanatics. But we're definitely gonna have to see a lot of the droid play for the new stuff because he loves to play droids. So we're gonna get our fill of it, that's for sure. But I'm okay with that. I like seeing cards get used that don't get used a lot.
Very true.
So another new event, make demands, 1 cost, spot a leader to choose an opponent's character and deal 2 damage to it unless they give you one of their resources. So honestly, that could be pretty good.
I've got a ruling question as to whether or not they can give you a resource when they have no resources.
See, I was thinking the same thing.
Because you know the whole thing where the cards before were like, choose to either discard your whole hand or lose all your resources.
And you choose to lose no resources.
You can still do
because
that,
you can still do it.
I'm going to assume that it's not going to be rolled that way because you specifically have to give a resource to somebody. But that's a question that I need to ask.
So I would imagine you play it, and since they can't give you a resource, they have to take the 2 damage.
Right. And 2 damage from 1 resource isn't horrible. It's just below my curve, so I like it.
Yeah. And once again, it's another one of those kind of cards that becomes a clutch card where you're like, I play this, I can potentially take a character off the board. Or it could be potentially the winning play if played right.
Just, all right, claim, next round, play this, win. GG.
Yeah. Or maybe you can push them off some mitigation where they have to give you a resource to stay alive, and maybe it kind of puts them in a bad spot.
Yep.
All right, so we have Energize. 1 cost, roll a droid die on one of your characters or supports and play into your pool. I like this.
Basically...
it's a free reroll. Well, no, it's not free, but...
It's a free extra roll.
Yes.
So suddenly your General Grievous now has 3 dice for the turn.
Yeah, getting an extra die in with damage on it, or maybe you're looking for something else. Maybe you're looking for focus or something.
Or, well, I guess it wouldn't be General Grievous because it's not a droid, right?
Nope, he's a leader.
But I mean, still, getting like the Commando Droid dice out there again isn't bad.
No, that's not. Definitely not. All right, so another 1 cost event, Automated Defense. Spot a droid to remove a die. Once again, any droid deck is going to see this card in it. You'd be crazy not to have any of these cards that spot droids. If you don't have them in there, you're doing something wrong. But I mean, that's a very simple stipulation to remove literally any die,
again,
which
you
is
hit
nice.
Everything round in the head. It'll be in every droid deck. Basically, this is your baseline 1 cost removal in the new set once rotation happens.
This deck makes me want to play droids.
Right.
Because, I mean... just to play droids, you're getting some really, really good event cards and stuff like that. Like, there's some really good ones because the stipulation is literally just that, just a droid. And if you're running 3 droids in a deck, potentially 4 if you're cool with all of the uniques, pretty much all your mitigation is good to go.
And you're done.
All right. Oh, I love this.
I love the art.
I love this art. Literally, the name speaks for itself. Pulverize. It's 2 costs. Resolve up to 3 of your dice showing damage in the order of your choice, increasing each of their values by 1. I really feel like this should have cost 3 instead of just 2, because 3 dice showing damage, that's gross. And you're increasing their value.
So I like that it lets you rapid fire resolve your dice because it can do any side. You don't have to do all the same ones. You kind of have to weigh the cost of the card on the ability to resolve all of your dice at once versus the damage. Because at most you're going to get 3 damage, which is well below my curve for cost per damage. But then you also get to resolve potentially 3 different damage sides all at the same time.
Exactly.
So it kind of gives you a little bit of a free ambush along with it, so that might be worth the extra resource cost. I think it's a good card. I don't think that it's an auto-include card, though.
Well, even if they were, say it was 1 indirect, 1 indirect, 1 indirect, now they become 2 indirect, 2 indirect, 2 indirect. Right. So now you're doing 6 indirect damage for 2.
That's true, but you were already going to be doing 3 indirect for free.
This is true. But 6 indirect could be game-changing once again.
Yeah, you're not
wrong.
Like,
you know, a lot of these cards, like we've kind of spoken out through the whole thing, is they're situational. So it's like if you're putting it in your deck because it seems really good, it's going to be like that situation has to be there for you to make it work. So it's just going to be one of those things where you're like, should I do this? Should I not do this? If you think it could make you win the game because maybe the dice you have out are gross like this card right here. The tank, where you're just like, I'm going to make this thing a 5 indirect now or a 4 range. It could be a really good situation.
I see your point.
Right, and the last card is another replant, the one that counteracts, what was that one? Dodge? Yes, yeah. It counteracts the dodge block, which is from block 1. Remove all of an opponent's dice showing melee damage. It's
Not a
kind of
great
like
card.
dodge. It's
I mean, obviously, if you know what your meta is and you know for a fact that you're going to be going up against nothing but melee decks, then this is a godlike card. Your opponent rolls in 10 dice and they're also melee, and you're like, haha, 2 to remove everything.
yeah, exactly.
But then you go up against a
all
gun
range
deck,
deck.
and it does literally nothing for you, and it's just taking up 2 of your card spots.
Yeah.
So, obviously good if you know what your meta is. If you are not so sure about your meta or don't know what you'll see and won't see play in your deck. But it's nice that we have it, because there's not a lot of mass removal anymore. So to have the ability to continue having that is at least a good idea.
Yeah, no, you said it pretty much exactly what I was thinking. It's just kind of like if you know Vader is literally half of your tournament show up, then you're like, okay, I definitely should play this card.
Yeah.
But
and then Vader rolls in 12 damage, and you're like, all right, pay 2, remove it all.
Exactly.
You just lost your whole turn. What do?
So once again, situational card, but it is a reprint from Block 1, so anybody new to the game gets to see some pretty good reprints. Some of them are like, I could have lived without them. Some of them I'm very excited to keep to have for, a whole nother block of cards. So that's the General Grievous starter set. I'm actually pretty excited to try it out. It looks like it's going to be super strong. It's got some good stuff going on in it, so it should be pretty fun.
Yeah, honestly, I think of the 2 decks, I think that the Grievous one is stronger just because it has the constant theme that runs throughout, and all the cards kind of work with all the cards. Which, I mean, Obi-Wan has that too with a lot of the spot leaders and stuff, but this deck was made to be a droid deck.
Yeah, it works just with all the droid stuff. So I think it's pretty gross, but we're definitely going to be getting a video out soon playing these against each other, so it should be entertaining.
Yep, so be on the watch out for that one.
Yes. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, make sure you leave us some comments. If you have any questions, you can do that as well. Like us up, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you then.